Hi, my name is Ruhama Paul, and the topic of my presentation is Assemblies of God History, Missions, and Governance. The Azusa Street Revival was probably the most well-known of the earliest centers of Pentecostalism in North America. It was also the source of the first wave of Pentecostal missionaries. This revival turned a fairly localized and insignificant new Christian sect into an international movement that sent workers to more than 25 nations within 2 years. For 3 years, Seymour's Apostolic Faith Mission was the most prominent center of Pentecostalism in North America. This predominantly African American church was rooted in the African slave culture of the 19th century. This is significant particularly for the spread of Pentecostalism into parts of the world where so-called primal religions were dominant. The Pentecostal emphasis on healing helped spread the message to people who expected power demonstrations to accompany religious leaders. Azusa Street missionaries and their converts established new revival centers that spread Pentecostalism from places like Hong Kong, Oslo, Norway, Sunderland, England, Johannesburg, South Africa, Lagos, Nigeria, Valparaiso, Chile, and Belém, Brazil. Some of the missions of Assembly of God are Speed the Light, Chi Alpha, Light for the Lost, Assemblies of God, World Mission, Live Dead, Light the Way, MM33. What is the future of Assemblies of God? In 1953, W.T. Gaston, former General Superintendent 1925 through 29, suggested, if we are to have a future that is better or even comparable and worthy of our past, we will need to learn over again some of the lessons of yesterday. One of the important lessons to rediscover, he wrote, was the importance of promoting pure, undefiled religion. Gaston recalled the utter disregard for poverty or wealth or station in life that he witnessed in the early Pentecostal movement, completely satisfied without the world's glittering tinsel, and content to be the object of its scornful hatred. Those rugged pioneers had something that made them attractive and convincing. If younger Pentecostals heed this lesson from older Pentecostals, the future of the Assemblies of God will be in good hands. How do we reach into the future? It has to be a leadership that blesses the next generation. It says in Hebrews 11, verse 20, by faith Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau in regard to their future. The Message puts it this way. By an act of faith, Isaac reached into the future as he blessed Jacob and Esau. Isaac, son of Abraham, was the child of promise, but he was able to look beyond the present tense with his sons. God had said of Isaac, I will establish my covenant with him as an everlasting covenant for his descendants after him. Recognizing that God's promise of blessing was not just about him, Isaac reached into the future and blessed the next generation. This seems to be the most noteworthy aspect of Isaac's life for the writer of Hebrews. And today, we need ministry leaders today who are more interested in blessing the next generation than achieving personal success. Following are 3 characteristics of leaders who are poised to bless the next generation. Number 1 is perspective. It's not about your role or your uniform. It's not about whether you preach on a big stage. It's not about whether anyone knows you. It is about answering the call and following the voice of God. When you go where God leads and release others to do the same, the sacrifices are always worthwhile. The blind will see and people will hear the good news. Your mission must be larger than your role. Second point is grace. Focus on progress, not perfection. As ministry leaders, we often measure ourselves against an impossible standard. Sometimes we also push that standard on those around us. Perfection is not a healthy expectation. After all, none of us can achieve it. We all need the grace of God to fill in the gaps of our inadequacies. To lead people well, we need to love them all. Do those you lead feel protected, or are they fearful of crossing you? Is your church a safe place where people can be themselves, make mistakes, and grow under a covering of love, respect, and grace? Number three is integrity. Integrity is about the long game in ministry. There are two kinds of integrity. Number one, moral uprightness. Number two, structural soundness. Strength of character is essential for shepherding God's people effectively and reaching into the future on their behalf. All the little things you do is private reflect your level of moral integrity. Are you consistent in character even when people are not looking? Integrity is also vital to the way you structure yourself and ministry. Picture all the people in your life, your family members, church staff members, and volunteers, and congregants. The baton is in your hands, and you have an opportunity to impact not only their lives, but also those who come after. Ask God to give you the perspective, grace, and integrity to reach into the future. In the end, I would conclude by saying this course has helped us to understand the values on which the foundations of Assemblies of God was laid. If we know the history, then we can ask the Holy Spirit to help us continue to live in that purpose and make Jesus known to every nation and tribe. Thank you.